Hey guys, Dantix here, finally back with some Starfield news. It feels like all the information we get is spaced half a year apart. Regardless, today I'll be talking about the lead quest designer Will Shen's responses to community questions, including information on random encounters, visiting the Sol system, questlines, building, expanding choices, factions, companions, and more. Let's get right into it. How has the random encounter system been improved or expanded upon, if at all? This time around, Bethesda have entire planets they have to populate. They actually have built new tech to take whole locations that they've created and place them on planets you explore. For example, now you could travel to an outpost and discover there's a whole group of people there with a particular problem, whereas before an encounter might just be a person coming up to you along the road. Now it's actually a whole location that can be put there. Maybe they'll have a problem like, one of our members was kidnapped by some pirates, we think they're over there. The player is free to then travel to that location with the person in it, and there'll be enemies around it. So it's dynamically placed settlements that are taking you to dynamically placed dungeons as you're walking through the planet. This is exciting because the scope and scale of what Bethesda can do has drastically increased. Something that you don't initially think about when told Starfield will have over 1,000 planetary bodies to explore. I say planetary bodies, I know they said planets, but I doubt they're all planets. So running into a mercenary or a postman on the dusty trail to the next city simply won't cut it anymore. This is how I imagine it going down. You see a waypoint in the distance for a standard outpost, which is a good place to regroup and set a fast travel point. However, when you get there, there's a random event that sets you off to a random dungeon, both of which are generated on that planet for you. Your next playthrough might experience something completely different, so planets can be mediums for side quests and random encounters, encouraging you to explore and see what you get. The side effect might be that you have a completely different experience from your friends. Will Shen emphasizes that any time on a planet you can experience a random encounter anywhere, and that they're only scratching the surface of what their tech can do. Let's hope that means that modders can also jump in and drastically improve upon the content supplied. And you can jump in and drastically improve the content on my videos. How? By subscribing, of course. If you are at all interested in Starfield or big RPGs, you know what to do. I'm almost past 200k, and with your help, I can get there. I have it on good authority as well that being subscribed gets you better encounter RNG. So thanks to everyone for watching, and let's get back to it. When asked about his approach to quests in Starfield, Will Shen answered with, "I think for Starfield, a lot of quest design was going back to our old school RPG roots. Lots of dialogue choices, referencing the player's skills and backgrounds, a variety of combat and non-combat activities, and highlighting our brand new setting in a way that signals where to go for what kind of stories you want to experience. We really tried to draw upon our previous titles to build quests we were excited about. And this excites me more than anything else I've heard about Starfield so far. I enjoyed Fallout 4, but I felt as though every single dialogue choice led to similar outcomes or responses. I missed the classic Fallout 1 and 2 days. In the gameplay trailer, we saw different options for backgrounds and perks. Knowing these come up more than once in choices means there will be a lot more replayability. Will there be quests taking us back to the Sol system and exploring just how things have changed there? Yes, very early in the main quest you're taken to our solar system, which in Starfield lore is called the Old Neighborhood. You'll be sent there on a mission from Constellation to discover the mysteries of the artifacts, and you'll get in contact with the question of what happened to Earth. But also, you go to Mars and there's a settlement, one of the early settlements that humanity created when they left Earth. This is called Cydonia, and it's a whole city with its own problems and people to meet. It sounds like it'll be your typical Bethesda town, which comes with its own side quests, shops, and seedy underbellies. What is interesting though is that Earth has suffered some kind of catastrophe or simply doesn't support life anymore. What has happened to Earth? Maybe a mainline mission tries to answer that question. I'm glad the game focuses on areas outside of the Sol system, and I'm excited to step away and explore what the universe has to offer. How will faction questlines work compared to other Bethesda games? Can we join multiples like in Skyrim and complete all of them, or does joining one lock you out of the others like in Fallout 4? So one of the early things Bethesda decided on was making sure that the main quest gives you a little bit of a tour of the settled systems and all the major players there. This is so Starfield gives you a taste of what they're going to be up to and what you have access to. Bethesda also discussed really early on if they should make the factions be in conflict with one another, but ultimately decided that they really wanted to make sure you could play through all the faction lines independently of each other. Also, this time around, they really wanted the stories to be a little more personal. You're influencing the direction of where this faction is going to go. So, for example, in the politics of the Freestar Rangers, what's more important? Is it justice or industry? Where are you going to try to nudge them in this direction or another? You don't necessarily end up as the head of every single faction, but all the major characters and every faction questline will be reflecting on your choices. It can have far-reaching consequences for what that faction is and what it cares about. In this way, Bethesda has really grown. Skyrim has had you as the head of every faction, which was amazing in terms of a power fantasy, but really didn't do much for the story. Especially when you consider that a nobody bandit in the game would still challenge you, the head of every violent guild in Skyrim who's decked out in the still bleeding carcasses of multiple dragons, to a battle to the death. The system will mean that you can shape the direction of the faction in a meaningful way that will hopefully have a real universe impact, beyond hearing a guard comment that you're honorable for being a companion. Speaking of companions, what will their role be during quest lines? The companions along the Constellation storyline, which is the main quest, will have a lot of options and points of view about what decisions you're making. They've also added in several occasions where you can ask them to speak for you. So you might have a companion with you and you'll be challenged. Someone will tell you that you, for example, can't get through here, but you actually can. You can turn to your companion and say, hey, could you actually handle this? And they'll speak on your behalf. There could be consequences, good or bad, for what they have to say. You can also expect all the usual things from followers. They'll follow you into danger, you can trade equipment with them, and they'll be crewing and helping out in your ship, which is new. It does seem like there'll be less options with your companions during side content missions based on Will Shen's language, which is to be expected. I doubt they would be completely silent or have zero feedback. This is a Bethesda game after all, but it does seem like they'll be quite vocal, more vocal than in previous Bethesda titles during the mainline mission. They'll still carry your burdens, and this is all but confirmed that they will be helping you in combat with their own combat-related skills. It's yet to be seen if we can equip our companions or if they have their own skill tree or abilities, but that's something to look forward to finding out. They'll be helping crew your ship, which we've seen teasers for already. No doubt a full crew will make your ship run better, and manning production stations will passively generate materials and gear for you. When asked what he's working on next that you're excited for everyone to see, Will Shen answered the following. I can't wait for folks to play the main quest and meet all the members of the Constellation, the key faction for the story. We really wanted to capture the sense of shared adventure and optimism that was a part of early space exploration, going back to the moon landing and the Apollo missions. If there's anything that Bethesda games capture, it's that sense of wonder and excitement, so no doubt he's nailed this. Will NPCs react differently depending on how players complete their quests? All the quest lines have major characters and they'll reflect on the decisions that you're making. They'll have opinions about whether they're good or bad. And for a few of the storylines, including the main quest, who ends up with you at the end. There you'll be determining the fates of whether someone lives or dies, or whether someone's still in the faction or decides to leave. There's a lot of different things that'll happen, but this is what we've come to expect from Bethesda, so it's nothing new. It's good to know the quest designers are still thinking about the consequences and how it adds to the experience. It also means we get to replay the game and see how the world reacts to our different choices. When asked about the new features he's most impressed with, Will Shen responded, "Everything we let the player build is super cool, and I think players that like to get knee deep into customizing will spend the whole game just doing that. So those who enjoyed building, like I did in Fallout 4, can look forward to an expanded system. Those who don't can look forward to a rich game that doesn't need it to be enjoyed. Let's just hope it gives us more memory to allocate to building so I don't have to find workarounds to make a giant city." So that's all the information we have this month. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. No doubt leading up to release we'll be getting far more information than what we've been getting so far. So for everything Starfield, as soon as possible, keep your eye on this channel. Ciao friends.